AEL style. I am the Reverend Whiskey Glitter, and with me, as always, my partner and co-host, Mr. Whiskey Run. What's up, Whiskey?
Welcome everyone, like you said, to AEL Reloaded. We're in week 6 here of the group stage of the league, trying to get through all of these round robin groups, and we've got a great match for you tonight. Master Chefs taking on Reikai Blue, and that Master Chefs team, I think picked up recently by the Cynical ACAD. So we're going to see that name change up. We did see this team play in the BGS quals just this weekend. So looking forward to see how they're going to do versus this Rikai Blue team.
Yeah, a couple of names that you know and love on here, of course, but really expect this to be an absolute banger. It's a best of one, so potentially this is just going to fly by. But before it can even get started, we need to see where the heck we're going. Let's get into those map bands, my friend. First one going to be off the board. Clubhouse. Clubhouse going to be gone. That's a classic. Not wanting to see the craziness of Skyscraper. Chalet and Cafe to follow. Bank. Consulate. Ooh, we're getting close to having maybe a Labs. Maybe. Let's go, baby. It's my absolute
Yes.
favorite map, Night Haven Labs. And why do we love this map so much, Whiskey? Because it is so fresh. It's so new. It's got all of these variety of strats being brought to the table, 2-floor extensions, lots of soft breach. It lends itself to the ability to have Cav, Vigil, a couple of those one-off operators so we don't get to watch a lot. I'm really excited for Labs to be the best one.
Well, and we've seen some interesting takes going on. No hard breaches, complete vertical takes. There's been a lot of fun scenarios that we've seen played out on Nighthaven, especially when you get into these teams fighting for their spot here. And this is an interesting one. We saw these two teams played against each other back in week 4 on Nighthaven. So we got a little bit of a preview there. Give you the score. It was 7-3 victory for Rakai in their previous matchup. So trying to go back, they're going to do the rematch here on the same map. To me, seems a little bit, a little bit dangerous to potentially offer the team or take the team back to the same map that you had already lost previously. See whether or not this Master Chef's squad can try and win one today.
Oh yeah, no. See, here's the deal: you take them back because now you know the strats, baby. Right? Had a chance to review how the game went, and they're feeling pretty confident that they can come back and get that redemption round. So I'm excited for it. Best of one. It's gonna fly by. Bands, I imagine we're probably going to see some pretty similar ones that we've been seeing across the board. Nobody want to deal with that Monty, specifically for that catwalk take area. I imagine also Doe could be right going to be taken off the board because this is such a huge map. Because the Rome will be prevalent. She's a huge operator at sussing out where the heck those are. Um, I don't know. What are you thinking?
I mean, for sure, like you called it, we're in this year 9, season 2. Most of the leagues that have spanned both halves in season 1, season 2 have saw the shift. We've seen Monty banned like almost 100% of the time here on the new season, especially on the maps where he gets a lot of play like Clubhouse and Nighthaven because of those rafter scenarios. So for sure, he seems like almost a guarantee. He's been banned like 50% of the time here in AEL in general, and I would bet most of that happening after the maps had or after the season had already switched. So I think that's an obviously likely one. On the defensive side, we talk about all of the nerfs that happen to Fenrir and to Solus, and whether or not teams are using their defensive bans, or whether or not those are not a great pick, right? We've seen a ton of Azami and Valkyrie bans as a result because it's not worth your using your defensive ban on the Solus or Fenrir because they've been nerfed so hard that it's more valuable now to take out some of that utility. So sort of a 50-50 on which, if teams really don't like to play against Fenrir, we continue to see him banned out. But that's been a big shift here in year 9 season 2 as well.
So I guess the name of the game is going to be adaptation then, Whiskey, right? Who's going to be able to overcome in the shortest amount of time? And it does. It puts the pressure onto the Master Chef since they have, of course, been already in a tough position on Night Haven Labs. So here we go. We're still trying to get that lobby set up. So actually, just stick with us real quick. We'll be right back after break to get this map ready and going for you. All right, well, we have made it back. First map, only map, the map. It's getting started for you today. I'm excited for it. Let's get into the bands. Let's see how it's going. Let's see, Whiskey, if it's going to be something maybe a little less traditional.
I think, like you said, is it going to be traditional now that we're into the year 9, season 2? Monty off the board to start with, 100% expected.
Yep, easy first call. Really great for taking up a lot of that real estate, pushing up into the catwalk area, and of course taking space in that tanks and assembly. As soon as they get that breach open, Dokkaebi to follow. No surprises there. We called that, of course, in the pre-match. There's just a ton of space. Both of these operators designed for some sort of space take. So they're going to both be gone, which means fun operator going to be on the board. We're going to see potentially those Candelas.
That's right. I think it's likely that we'll see her played. And then we talked about those defensive bans a little bit in the setup, right? We saw a lot of Fenrir and Solus bans in Year 9 Season 1. The trend has absolutely continued as we roll through Year 9 Season 2. I mean, really into the meat of the season at this point. Azami, Valkyrie, a likely fourth choice, but not surprising to see Azami on this board.
Yep, and there it is. Intel is going to be gone. Okay, so fun operators still going to be able to be seen defensive wise. We're looking for that vigil. We're looking for a cab to come out. Give me something spicy. Already spicy on the board for the attack team, though, as they're showing a blitz right out the gate, which, hey, I'm here for. A little bit of a standard on the defense, though, right? A little bit of area denial, bringing that, helping keeping the breach. Oh, last minute change on the mind. But help keeping that breach closed and keeping those mirrors intact will be the Bandit and Tubero
Attackers
combo.
need to locate and defuse bombs.
Not surprising there. A lot of focus on Nighthaven on the hard breach, especially on the 2F and the basement sites, right? Trying to keep that IT wall closed, trying to keep that connector
Bomb
wall
located by
closed.
attackers.
Those two really important push points into sight, and a lot of focus paid there. So what do you do on the defense? Bring along the breach now, bring along the two brow to back him up as well. Sneaky bringing that out. So along with the projectile deny and the Mira, really
10
she's
seconds remaining.
continued to be just a really important part of nearly every defensive setup. She's got a
Squad
place
deployed.
on most of the maps, and it seems like rarely, again, with the nerf that we
Attackers
saw
moving out
from
to defuse the
Ash,
bombs.
have not seen her, banned nearly as much. So she still brings a lot of utility, but not quite enough that teams spend banning her out.
Yeah, kind of one of those staples. And also, speaking of staples, if you're attacking on Nighthaven Labs, you're bringing along a Maverick, especially for that top floor. Right? It kind of, I mean, we've just seen it straight up across the competitive scene an incredible amount. It's how you get that main breach open. Got to watch for those C4s that, of course, can be coming your way when you're making that bottom line through. But almost every time we see a 2F defense, we're seeing a Mavic being brought along to counter it. First one going to be off the board is going to be the Bandit as he gets taken down, but not counted out. Up with a low HP. Mira also down. Lucy to fall. Man, all of a sudden, just very quickly falling apart for this defense as they're just pushing into sight. Usually you see that Monty being utilized here to push up onto the catwalk, using the blitz instead in a similar fashion. Waiting for a CAD, a little bit of a peek there, and that's going to be one getting found off
Wow.
the board. Puts us into a 4v3.
It was a great play at the top of Rafters, seeing the blitz with the backup behind from the ace, able to clear out some of the defenders, gain Rafters control, but they didn't have all of the lines of sight cleared, taking some shots from the back of sight and from the back of command, and the attackers lose 2, 3, 4, down to a 1v4. Boy, even though they got early defensive, some early real estate there, the top of Rafters completely fell apart.
Okay, so one does go in the same vein as we saw the last time that this map was played between these two. So, what is going to be the adaptation? They're going to take it back up to the second floor. They're going to try it again this time, however, and I think this is the right call, bringing out the Warden. right? And of course, the doc to follow it up. We saw 2 members go down, put them on a very low health scenario right at the beginning
Defenders,
of the
protect your
round.
bombs
So
from being
bring the
defused
doc
by
along.
attackers.
Usually kind of considered the cheese pick, right? Not necessarily an operator that, I don't know, has a ton of value outside of being able to pick the homies back up. So if you're afraid of the gunfights coming at you quick, he's not a bad pick. I think the Warden, though, is definitely the standout, especially if they're going to try to bring that glass.
Yep, I think you're right. Try and play a counter to it. The only thing is it feels like it's reactionary and not preparatory, right? They're reacting to what Reikai brought
10
on their
seconds to
first
insertion.
round rather than what feels like, maybe a setup that they were comfortable
5
with,
seconds
but like
left
you
before
said,
insertion.
changing up with bringing along the doc and the warden, um, I, I
Attackers'
don't know
objective
whether or
is to
not that
locate a bomb and
was
defuse it.
specifically because of the way they wanted to play this round out, try and change it up, hold this Raptors location a little bit harder, a little bit longer, but I hope they're not working on reacting off of what the attackers are bringing because that's most of the time is not a recipe to win.
Absolutely. So double up on the hard breach. I like the call. Open up a bunch of sight lines and start to put some pressure on to a couple of those kind of isolated players. Everybody, though, from the defense outside of the Mira hanging up on the second floor there. So kind of a strange one to have your, except for maybe I guess we're going for the C4 potentially when they push in, but kind of a weird one to have on the road.
Yep. Yep, I think
Oh,
you
but it's
called
going to
it
pay off.
C4 coming out. No! Oh, a
It was a
Located by
50%
fantastic
Ash
play.
goes down.
Man, almost got her. So body balance is going to remain intact as the first minute has wound down. They now know they have to deal with some roam down below. And look at that. First one is going to be taken off the board is the Thatcher. That's going to give the man advantage over to the defense. It's a much better start than what we saw on the last round. Didn't get rid of that mirror on the back end. And, Dida to the drone is going to equalize there. Gonna find a double as Ace gets taken down. Now puts us into a 4v3. Excuse me, a 3v3 as the prone, owned, and owned comes
What?
out. A double, a triple to follow up. Now puts it in the hands of the defense yet again. And now a little bit of pressure onto the attack side. Got the breach open, Whiskey. Quad kill. He's
Oh,
on
a
pace for the
quad.
ace.
Sneaky's not going to let him have it, though. He's going to take that final one. Stormite tries to push in through the IT breach, but boy, you had Ace and this attacking team gain a ton of control pretty quickly on the connector side. Got the main breach open, got those sight lines in to sight there, and boy, it was looked like they had the avenue in. They had the way that they wanted to approach in, but it was very one-dimensional, right? Basically, all of the attackers stacked up on that connector side, right? There was not a lot of ghost pressure around. Yes, they did open up IT there at the
Attackers
end,
need to
but I mean that's
locate
where
and
we
defuse
saw the
bombs.
thermite go down. Not a lot of garage pressure, nothing over on the river stairs side. Felt very one-dimensional. So I think the defense took advantage of that. They tied up 1-1. So now we head down to the basement. Going to see how this team lines it up. They're bringing out a very similar lineup, but a couple notable changes bringing out fire on both sides, the stationary and the mobile in the Goyo and the Tachanka.
Yeah, how do you respond with that aggressive nature that the attack side is
10
bringing to
seconds
the
left.
table? Well, you slow them down. So we head down to the tank assembly
5
area,
seconds
and
left.
we've seen a lot of variety of strats when it comes to attacking basement, and some teams
Attackers'
even
objective is to
deciding
locate a
not
bomb
to
and
bring
defuse it.
hard breach at all. Now, that's not going to be the case here, so we are going to see the ace to be utilized in the Maverick to help them get rid of any sort of breach denial that could have been there. None going to be utilized here by the defense, so it's a foregone conclusion that they'll open up the single and the double. Have to battle through those Goyo canisters to be able to make it in.
Yep, nothing from a breach denial perspective. So it's interesting, right? If you're going to play the hard breach, if you're going to spend the time down there to try and hold it, I feel like typically we see the defense bring along at least some form, right? Even the mute, but they're going to go ahead and give it up and then rely on the Goyo to try and just stall out. But assuming they can get
A
the
bomb
ace
has
and
been
Maverick
located.
downstairs to open those up early enough, it shouldn't slow them down too much.
Aggro, living up to his namesake, is going to find one. The trade does
Wow.
happen as Aggro finds a second. Now takes us into a 3-3 situation. It's just all going to start to fall apart. Vector finding Aggro, stopping the bleeding. Damage has been done. We're now into a 3v2. Couple of shots, almost finds it on the leg, but had to get the reload. C4 ringing out. No joy to be had, however. So still 3-2 in a low health scenario for the Mira. Gonna try to figure out exactly where he's standing at.
Footprints were just a little bit too far away, but great read there from the attackers, recognizing that they had one of the defenders laying prone, covering the bottom of the stairs, able to rotate back up the stairs and take a vertical play instead of a direct engagement. Love that adaptation from the attacking team. It is 2v3 and just a few bars of health left there on the Mira, so she's got to try and keep herself alive, stay just a little bit longer here and avoid this. Right now, the man count slightly in the Master Chef's advantage, but it's close.
That's right. You said it. 9 HP in a dream, but in a one-shot headshot game, and the Vector in the hand, still an incredibly viable operator. Takes a couple of shots to mask him from jumping down into sight here. We'll look towards the back end. Got to find really one to be able to start to get themselves ready for a plant. They do have diffuser in hand, so an execute is possible. And they
Wow.
find that kill, does get a triple ring out. Now puts us into a 2v1, into a 1v1. 80 health, both apiece. He's going to find himself a double to clean it up.
Well, I was gonna say when we're seeing this this Master Chef's team, and I keep maybe cynical ACAT at that point because I keep looking at their tags, but that team, boy, when somebody gets hot, they take advantage of it, right? We saw the 4K from Logger on the previous round, Gerv taking a 3K, but unfortunately have not found, not able to convert all of those into wins. Reikai taking their second attacking round at this point. So I know there was some
Attackers need to locate
conversation
and
about whether or
defuse
not it
any
was
bombs if they
a
can.
quarter system or the half system. And for the most part, the league's still running still running halves rather than quarters until maybe we see the official switch happen. Because right now, all the players still working on their way, the path to pro happening and trying to find their way up into the higher levels of Siege. And currently, higher levels of Siege still played on that 6-6.
Yeah, and I don't think that's going anywhere, right? I mean, the quarter system is great. It makes it more competitive, but at the
10 seconds
higher
left.
tier, it's not going to change anything. I don't think so. So we're going to
5
stick with it
seconds
here.
left before
It's
insertion.
2-1. You see the round rotate over, however, able
Attackers
to
are moving
go
out to
back to
locate a
whatever
bomb and
sites
defuse
that
it.
you felt the most comfortable with. Let's see what the adaptation is here. We're still bringing along the Tachanka. Don't mind it. Seems like a bit of a miss, especially if he's going to go down so early. And already we're going to see some of that roam game here trying to be dealt with as they get in up top and start to take some of that space.
Yep,
Lots of drones
fighting,
coming in and
taking
gonna
that
take them
space.
down.
The top down clear. It's a great call from the attackers. They need to work on it because right now you've got one of the defenders upstairs wreaking havoc, taking away all of your intel, and is going to continue to be a menace. That's Logger sitting at 5-2-2. So they've got to work on getting him out of position, gain control of this upper floor to be able to have a chance to try and push themselves down.
Yep. So a lot of space being taken up here. And we're going to see Wamai on the hunt, on the prowl, trying to make himself impactful from the 2F location. And if they haven't sussed him out, this is going to be the play. They start to make some rounds up, and he ends up finding the headshot. Going to be able to rotate back and still put that pressure on. They still have to go find a way to deal with them. They do equalize, however, as Logger gets taken off the board, but an immediate trade as Hacker Duke is gone for Garbanzo, and they, of course, find the Wamai. Stay just a little bit too long, going to pay for his hubris. Aggro going to finish that kill off and now take us into a 3-3.
That all of the action happening upstairs on the 2F site, right? It's a basement bomb site.
Attackers have
That
recovered
was
their diffuser.
4 players dead at this point upstairs on the 2F site. And Maverick downstairs working to try and open up that hard breach. essentially by himself, but tons of that action happening. So now Ash, making her way down. Finally, the defense have rotated themselves all the way back down in their bunker. But I mean, it's the last 55 seconds left in this round. Took a lot of time, wasted a ton of time there, and got a couple kills off the back of it. Great setup by the defense. Now they just got to survive all the
Attackers have
explosives
located
in
a
the
bomb.
vertical game that this Reikai team's bringing.
Yeah, and it's a ton of it too. Ram is opening up, the Ash charges, soft breaches, just a ton. But vertical can be played two ways, my friend. Ace gonna find one from the bottom. Now puts us into a 3-2 as it starts to put some pressure here on the attack team coming down the back stairs. But they seem to have the intel that he is coming. So that chunk of fire gonna slow him down. With 14 seconds left. Not going to be much they're going to be able to accomplish here. The hold is pretty strong. That's going to be the vector to find one. Drop down all onto the shoulders of Ash for 3 seconds, and the cross is set up. T'Chaka going to find him another one, proving that if he can stay alive, he will be the impact anchor at the end of it.
Wow. Wow. It looked like it looked like the attackers had got the positioning set up. They were working on the vertical control. They had what they needed to try and put that vertical pressure down on the basement, and the defenders were in for a little bit of a rough go, but boy, they absolutely turned it around, able to hold down all of that time wasted upstairs in the 2F was exactly what they needed to be able to buy time
Attackers need to
and
locate and
take
defuse as
away
many
the
bombs
setup
as they
time from the
can.
attackers getting themselves ready for that basement take. There's just too much time wasted clearing out roamers. See whether or not they dedicate, maybe a little bit more assets this time around to trying to clear out the roamers earlier in the round. This time, though, they'd have to be looking downstairs as we're going upstairs to the 2F bomb site in a very similar setup, bringing out that Mira, holding on to what I think is very much the common hold at this point for the 2F site and bringing along the Mira to help out.
Yeah, and
10
here's
seconds to
here's
go.
the deal, right? It's the attack has already hit their quota. They've already
5
done their
seconds to
job.
go.
So it puts the pressure on the defense for these next two rounds. Last round was incredibly
objective is
important
to
for the
locate a
defense
bomb
to
and
win.
defuse it.
These next two are going to be equally
Yeah, it was.
vital because then it puts them into that. It puts them into that score difference going into the half where you're going to be then on your defense, and that of course will make it incredibly difficult if you don't hit the standard split here on the 4-2.
Yep, and in terms of what we're seeing, right, it's Logger on the roam again, playing downstairs on the first floor, like we called it out. So right now we're still, 30 seconds into the round, all of the attackers still outside, with the exception of Ace, working on just getting a little bit of the setup in place. They've got, yeah, put the claymore down, hoping that Logger wasn't going to be able to see it, but he's going to get it. And is it going to be some trigger discipline, be able to take one of these attackers out and gain some control as a result?
Negative. He makes the push up, and he's going
No.
to be dealt with immediately, my friend. That's the body bounce in favor of the attackers. And look, C4 primed, prepped, and ready. Sends one through the open mirror window. Nobody there to receive the order, however. So no joy on that shot. Backs up around, give himself a little bit of rotate space. This is kind of similar to a little bit of a kind of a weight pattern. Defense still in a good position here. It's the last minute and 37. Going to start clicking it down. And then open up from that back connector area to start to put some pressure on. Wait, he's close for it too.
Still,
Attackers have located a bomb.
it's a great setup from this attacking team. They still have utility left. They got 2 of the Ash charges left, 3 of the Thatchers to be able to take down some of that electronic utility, plus the Ace. Already got IT open. This is an attacking team that is in a great place as long as they can hold on and deal with the guns of this Master Chef's team.
Does find a triple on the round, but it's not going to be enough. So the defense is going to claim
Wow.
themselves another in their quest for the 4-2. 1 round away on the half. See if they're going to put us towards that standard edition.
Well, here I was talking up that attacking team. They had the man advantage. They looked like they had enough utility in place. They had the sight lines open. That should have been one that worked out in their favor. But right now, looking like very much like the Master Chefs have found a way to deal with this
Defenders,
Reikai
protect your
attack
bombs from being defused
upstairs
by
and have been
attackers.
very successful at holding them off. So now
Bomb
the question
located
is,
by
we go
attackers.
back downstairs, this time to the first floor. So we've seen each time that Reikai has won a site, Master Chefs have come back and won it the second time. So the big question here is, are we going to see this, the final site rotate? The third one here, is it going to go in favor of the attackers, or the Master Chefs have found, at least learned something about how the attackers going to handle it? Maybe be able to hold on a little bit tighter
10
this
seconds
one,
left.
like you said, in the quest for the 4-2 split. Can they pull it off? I don't know. I think
5 seconds to go.
thinking the attackers might take this one, man.
Yeah, it's the
Attackers
problem
are
with
moving
being
to the
reactive
bomb.
instead of proactive, right? Is you're responding to a situation instead of creating it. So we'll see. The attackers have done a great job. They brought along some verticality here in kind of a big way. Somebody we don't get to see too often. Sledge is going to be on board, help deal with some of those castle barricades. But this is that 2-floor extension that I was talking about, right? We have Tuberol and Legion all the way up on the second floor, and then Pulse in the basement for some of that verticality as well, with that C4 and that potential for that pre-plant denial. So this is one of the reasons that I love this map so much. Ash to take a bit of damage. She's reduced to 18 HP. Still alive to take another gunfight. Do they get aggressive onto the window, or is he going to hold behind the pillar? Lots of information being had here, Whiskey.
I mean, we've seen this defensive team play relatively aggressively from a roam perspective, not so much from a spawn peek, from a run out, that kind of a defensive aggressiveness, but certainly, like you called it out, from a spread out and roam perspective. Still got Pulse holding downstairs in the basement, and you've got two upstairs on the 2F site. Now maybe one at this point, but yeah, big hold, big spread out from this team, taking advantage of it. Interesting that we saw the sledge come out from the attackers. Yeah, he's bringing out the nade, but Z-Man gonna take him down. Boy, I felt like I just caster cursed him off the board.
Man, oh my lord. The
Oh,
TK,
no!
unfortunate support comes up from Ripper. That's going to put some big pressure on here, but it's still a 4v3, 4v2, as Young's going to find himself another one. Whoop. What just happened? Oh my lord. The double ringing out, now a low health scenario, a C4 to potentially clean this up if he gets it in the right spot. Oh, does he still have it? Yeah, he still has one on board. And it's going to be the last one alive now with 3 HP, a mere shell of a bullet to be able to take them down. Ram starts to put some pressure on the back end. Oh, the siege timing comes around, is going to find one. The triple kill now. Oh, no
What?
way!
No, he died to the...
Clip it, chat. That is the
No
worst.
way.
3 HP and it taken down by his own gadget. Choo Choo is right. Oh my lord, that is
That has got to be one of the most unbelievable scenes I think I have seen in competitive Rainbow Six Siege in the last year. That is unbelievable. I have never seen a boogie kill. I don't think
Attackers
I've
need to locate and defuse
intentional
as many
or
bombs as they can.
unintentional. I think that has got to be a first.
oh my lord. That is
No way.
boy, yeah, that's one of the highlights of my
Bomb located
whole
by
year. That was
attackers.
incredibly funny. Valiant attempt.
Wow.
The comeback was real, but unfortunately done in by your own hubris. Ooh,
I can't
geez.
believe we got to see that happen.
4-2 on the split. We're now going to see what Master
10
Chef
seconds to insertion.
is going to bring to their attacking side. Got a similar setup on the
5 seconds
defense,
left.
but we are going to see the newest operator, Sentry, on the board, bringing a lot of that utility.
Attacker's objective is to defuse a bomb.
Oh, man, that was good. I'll never
I
forget
feel like
that.
we have
Whiskey.
seen the new recruit ops spending a lot of time, but certainly from a competitive standpoint, seems like on the defensive side, much more likely than the attacker side. I think the competitive siege teams at this point are certainly favoring the defensive operator rather than the attacking operator here with the new recruit operators. So I don't know exactly why. I think the combination of extra utility on the defensive side is just that little extra that the teams need. So interesting that continues to be one. I didn't think that we were going to see recruit played very often, just because of how strong some of the defensive abilities are.
Yeah, so they are going to dislodge Mira from her spot with Rotera drone, but she's able to come back up, and he's going to make a late round barricade here that's going to be able to slow down that potential come up from the catwalk.
Oh, you
A
see,
little bit of tough work here from the Maverick, but he's able to get the whole thing opened up. The C4 to send out is going to find one
wow,
from
bottom.
downtown. He's on fire. Defense now coming up in a big way as Ace has also been taken down, now into a 5v2 situation. There's a cleanup. He's able to find one, trying to go for the potential on the pickup. Maybe be able to get him. It's risky, that's for sure.
Well, and that was an important one too. Bottom had been absolutely going crazy from that perspective. Was the top frag and had certainly been on a roll recently. So, shutting him down, icing him, cooling off this defensive team was exactly what the Master Chefs needed to try and put a little bit extra pressure, because certainly it was looking all defense here as we rolled into round 7. But now another one falls. Boy, the attackers, they're going to have to hold on tight. It's just Gov left.
Yep. Holding on to nothing. Completely ready for the walk-up river. Able to find that kill. And that starts to put the score line just a little bit closer here, as that defense looked incredibly solid.
Yep, looked
Down to the
very
tank
good from that
assembly.
perspective. So I mean, Reikai Blue. Oh, we saw it. We said 7-3 victory for them the last time they played on Nighthaven. So far, Master Chefs have already eclipsed their previous round total. So I feel like that's a big mental milestone as well.
From being defused by attackers.
Yeah, one away from tying us up here as we head down to the tank assembly area. And this is where kind of some of those off strats starts to come into play, right? This is where we've seen potential no hard breachers being brought, and they are going to use that extended mirror setup to put some pressure on trying to get that double opened up. I like the call. It's aggressive. If you've got the gun skill to back it up, I'm here for it. On the defensive side, it did bring out the vigil. Now, here's the question, right? Here, where do we stand on this? Because, for one, love the vigil call almost always for the roam game. Huge. But the boss G, it's a tough one, right? It's an absolute killer. It's stone cold. But in a 1vx scenario, you talked about it once on the stream, is that it's a little bit maybe not as viable as a gun to be brought out when you're in that late round scenario. I still like it.
We've seen a couple scenarios where if Vigil had been running the K1A, he would have gotten a multi-kill on a run out. We saw it on Consulate. We saw it on Nighthaven. On some of those scenarios where you've got multiple attackers stacked up, that would have been the difference maker. The difference, though, is that, if Vigil is playing this kind of peek and shoot scenario, taking pot shots, slowing the attackers down, giving them pause about entering the building, wasting time, and if he's able to get a couple kills out of it, I think in general, even though you've got some downside of only having 2 shots plus the reload, I think overall, I think the boss G is where it's at. The addition of that the 2.5x tight is the difference maker, and it's been a good change. We've seen way more of him and that gun being played than we ever have, I think.
Yeah. Where did the C4 come from? Was that off the breach? That was huge. Does give the man advantage pretty early on to the defense here as they get the Grim off the board. Some really important util, but a ton of intel being fed here by the pulse on the single wall.
Look at this. Boy, you look at how much you've got. All 4 of the attackers are now downstairs, stacked up right on the breach. Pulse has got all of them. I mean, it sounds like it was sounding like somebody was about to rip a C4, and there it goes, not able to connect. The attackers rotating out. Good call on their part, but just running out and trade. Logger continuing to having a great game.
So it's the push in back up top for the vertical because kind of a
Attackers
washed
recovered
mess
the bomb
down on the
diffuser.
single and the double. They do have, of course, somebody there for that. Oh, there it goes. That's one to be able to be
Here
found.
it is.
Mostly going to get taken down, and that's going to, the second one onto Young is going to take us into a 4v1 and now a 1 HP scenario as that Boss G does a ton of damage, but cleaned up on the back end. Vigil to find that kill.
Yep, I know there's definitely a lot of debate between the Boss G or the K1A, which one's the right one, but I think right now, certainly in this meta with the ACOG, and the way that Siege is being played, I think that's the combo. And if you're comfortable on it, going to be deadly because that's a combo that makes it really difficult to gain any ground. Plus, we're still definitely in an intel meta. Siege is an intel
Attackers need to
game,
locate and
able to
defuse as
hide
many
from the
bombs as they
drones.
can.
And I thought even protect you from the Deimos, even though we're not seeing him played an awful lot on the attack, right? His ability to hide at least a little bit from that intel, I think, makes that really powerful, and continue to see him be an important part of the defensive lineups. Not going to be here though, trading it out again for what has been a little bit more of a standard lineup though, as we see this first floor site for the first time on this defensive half.
Yeah, and I love the extension upstairs, and I love the utilization of the castle. Right?
10 seconds to insertion.
It's a W pace setting operator, which is of course what you're going to need if you want to continue this momentum. They've had 2 in a row to be had now by the defense. They're looking strong towards their third round. See if they're going to bring what it takes here. It's going to be just 1 for the breach. So we're going to see the thermite being utilized. Rotero drones, I think, is the key here is to help get those players out of those critical push points.
That's one thing I think with the change in shields, having Monty being banned, I feel like we have seen an awful lot of the Flores as an alternative option there for clearing defensive utility. We definitely used to see him a ton on Chalet, but I think his utility and value has certainly increased on a lot of the other maps as well. Nighthaven certainly being one of them. Using the Mav to open up. Some of those breaches, and then using the Flores to try and clear out some of that utility, open up the walls. He brings a lot to the table.
So as the first minute has wound down, you've seen the drones get in there, poke and prod, sussing out exactly where these defenders are, specifically this Warden. And that is going to be the first one. Aggro going to find his kill. Legion is going to take down the line, and that's some of the intel gone. In a second to follow, as Ace is going to find his hit piece missing. Another bit of intel and a bit to deal with some of that extension util. Twitch is off the board. Now puts us into a 5v3. The pressure starting to mount as the defense is starting to kind of run.
Boy, stacked up 5 there for the defense. Got to 3 left. So now, how are we going to handle this? But the hold upstairs again. We saw this when they played the basement site back on round 4. In an absolute ton of activity happening upstairs on the 2F location, and that's now happening on both sides of the map. This Nighthaven just being one of those maps where, unless you're going for just a crazy rush, spending the time to clear out all of that full clear on a map takes a ton of time though, because this is such a big map.
Man, C4 to ring out and Logger to answer in return. That does put us into a 3v2 as they start to open up that vertical, start to put some pressure on from the top area, maybe push them out of sight a little bit, get themselves ready for a potential execute here. Need to find one to equalize to get themselves ready for some objective-based gameplay, as they're still pretty far removed and separated from each other. Seems like it could be a little bit of a tough call. And there it is. 19 seconds left now as they're starting to push down. Got a little bit of intel, looking to see exactly if they can get inside the door, get a plant down, and hold the vertical for it.
Wow.
That's exactly what they're going to do, Whiskey.
Oh no!
Sends it in. Are they going to be able to get the plant down now for a 1v3?
No way.
Negative. They're not going to be able to get it down. It was a good It was a good attempt, right? It was the right idea. Get in, hold the cross, and just prey on vertical to be what you need to get the plant down. Unfortunately, not able to take the shot on the lesion. He's able to push in and completely disrupt the plant going down, and that's going to be another to the defense. And now one away from that coveted match point scenario.
Well, and more specifically, right? That's three in a row for the Reikai Blue team. They entered this half 4-2. They've won three in a
Attackers need to
row. The
locate
full
and
site
defuse
rotate.
bombs.
We haven't seen the Master Chefs come up with really something on attack. Something special to be able to close out a round. They've gotten close a couple times, but just have not been able to close out the round. But that almost
Attackers have
a
located a
comedy of
bomb.
errors, a little bit of a mistake there from the attacker holding the vertical, right? Had his gun trained on the door, ready and waiting, and then the absolute siege timing was switching to the nade right as the defender walked through the door. The timing on that, unbelievable and definitely
10
unfortunate,
seconds left.
as I think we would have seen, definitely had the possibility to go the other way that time,
5
but
seconds left.
losing the fight and then the plants are getting double teamed downstairs, not going to be able to
Attackers are
overcome that,
defuse the
unfortunately,
bomb.
when you lost the vertical. So spent so much time holding it, gaining control of it, and then to lose it at the last second, little heartbreaking.
Yeah, so this is going to be where we see if their VOD review has paid off, right? So this is going to be a classic second floor hold here with one down on the rotate, the Warden. I imagine this is probably a similar strat to what they ran last time. So a little bit of adaptation out of the defense. Nook going to be on the board. Maybe get a little bit of that flank potential coming in, and I absolutely love that. Back it up with the intel of the Grim and the blinding capabilities of the Ying. This is a fun setup, and I hope it's the adaptation we need to see it get tied up.
I mean, there was a reason that Ying was banned, like in some leagues, 70 to 80% of the time during year 8, and even in a little bit into year 9, but certainly for the majority of the back half of year 8, Ying was banned at an incredible rate, her and Dokubi, and because she's such a disruption to the defense and gives the attackers, so much of an advantage walking in, almost forces them to have to play the Warden in this case. I think it's a great call, right? Try and do something to disrupt this defense. We haven't seen a lot of Ying come out at all in Nighthaven so far, so maybe it's a little bit of an unexpected move. Kind of like we talk about the defense bringing out cap cans late round. Maybe that's what they needed here.
Yep, absolutely. And now you can hear the Candela
There it
starting
is.
to come in. Yep, absolutely. The Warden, though, got his special glasses on as they're going to be able to find the Ying off the board, and that's going to give the man advantage back into the defense. Ash to fall, another, the shotgun to ring out. Close quarter combat king now puts it all on the shoulders of the adaptation. The Nook does find one, but a little bit impactless kill potentially. Here it is, headshot to ring out, and now we're on that match point scenario.
God, we came out of the first half of this map thinking that Master Chefs, the cynical ACAD team who had seen do so well through the BGS quals just earlier this weekend, talked about the change up, right? They had already won more rounds than they did the previous time that these two teams met up on this map. And really, ever since that point, it has completely fallen apart. And unfortunate to see that happen because they had such a great first half. They had won three in a row, rounds 4, 5, and 6, in order to
Attackers need to
gain that
locate and
advantage and
defuse as
push
many
them up
bombs as
to
they
the
can.
4-2 half, but they have not been able to find the same success on attack. Now, I got to go down to the basement. We've already seen this round rotate. They have lost. They lost 2F now twice in a row. They've lost basement once. So this attacking team is going to need to come out with something special. The defense, on the other hand, bringing along some of the standard. They changed up the basement defense a little bit, bringing out both the Kaid and the Bandit. Double hard breach denial along with the Mira. It's going to be a tough setup.
10
So I
seconds
hope
to
that
go.
the Master Chiefs have had the opportunity to identify all these defensive
5
operators
seconds
and
left
make the
before
adjustments
insertion.
in their lineup to find a way to win it because we are on match point.
Attackers are moving
That's
out
right,
to
and
locate
this is
bombs
quite
and
the
defuse it.
lineup to bring for it, right? The fuse to be able to get rid of a lot of that utility, hopefully to open up some of that breach. Of course, the RAM being utilized for that vertical play here. I like it. I don't know if it's enough. I'm going to start to put some pressure onto that first floor where we do have Mute and Vigil there to back each other up, holding that vertical. This is a good. This is a good play. You're gonna have to suss this out a little bit early and get that pincher move on. Taking this 2v1 would not be a good idea.
I mean, certainly looking at this lineup, it seems like potentially they missed all of that breach now, right? All you've got is two of the impact EMPs
Defender has
from
been
the Grim,
discovered.
uh, and there you've got one. And Ace, the hard breach using one of his charges on that outside warehouse wall rather than focusing on the basement site. So, and they're using one upstairs on 2F. Geez, I think we're going to look back at this round potentially and say, yeah, the attackers just, tried something, but not the right thing.
Oh, jeez, what a swing! Nets him one, but the buddy system in place is going to act equalized back, and that's going to put the body balance into the favor of the attackers with still a plenty of time to suss out where these last couple of defenders are. That was huge, Whiskey.
That was so right as soon as we were talking about it, the attackers really being in a tough spot, not going to be able to make something happen here. They've certainly turned it around a little bit, gained a little bit of ground. You still have got three down playing downstairs in the basement though. So now all of this
Did
attacking
he do
happening.
it again?
No, that
Oh,
time
oh,
was a
no,
C4. It
C4.
was not. It
Okay.
was not a boogie kill, but it was. Look, so close.
There's the B sussing out the person playing on the cargo stairs. There's a C4 in hand ready to send some damage out there. Not going to be taken advantage by the Deimos. Puts us into a 3-3. Now the clock's starting to tick down. Does put a little bit of the pressure back onto the attack team here. So we got to find a couple of kills, and that's a good way to start it out. That is going to be bottom taken off the board. Now puts us into a 3v2. Vertical presence being huge. Does get droned out as Cade gets himself back into sight, holding on to those exo stairs where they're going to see this bit of contention. Ace walking down, still holding on for the vert as well. Ready to put the buddy system in place to make that swing.
15 seconds remaining.
Yeah, got to make sure that they've got the intel in place to be able to make the swap. Yeah, he's being pinged out by those Grimbees, so certainly they know he's there. They've got the intel. Swing on it in the right way at the right time. They've got one.
Oh my lord, and that's the plant starting to go down. No C4 in hand to be utilized here, so he's going to have to take this gunfight the old-fashioned way in a little 2v1 action and a low health scenario for the Mira, but they have the Vector in hand. If they can spot out this rotate behind and get that first pick, might be looking at a potential to clutch this one up. So looking towards the long end, not able to find it. Back to retaking inside of sight. No idea where these attackers are, and as the clock starts to tick down, the pressure starts to mount for the Mira. A pre-fire into the corner, but nobody
Look
there.
at
The
that,
B's there
well
to stop the
placed.
advance. Oh no, Whiskey. Gotta have 7 seconds on the board to do it. Not gonna be enough time to get this one done. Is not gonna even find a kill. Young gonna be able to take Hacker down. That's gonna be one for the attack side.
All right, so what you're saying is, the caster curse is real. I talked up this attacking team or this Reikai blue team and said they're on an absolute roll. They've won 4 in a row. They can't be stopped. Master chefs have not been able to find out a way to deal with this, and then they absolutely did. They won a couple of those early picks is exactly what they needed. Didn't need to use the opening up of the breaches on the basement floor to try and push in those
Defenders,
angles. They
protect your
played the
bombs from
vertical
being
game. They
defused by
had the ram
attackers.
upstairs. They opened up all of those
Attackers have
angles
discovered the
and then put
location of a
pressure on
bomb.
this defense and then pushed down the stairs. And we talk about, stairs being the most dangerous way to traverse levels in Rainbow Six Siege. You need the alternative ways into sight. This time it fell apart for the defense, right? Maybe the fact that we're on match point, they were a little bit worried about it, decided to try and hold on for a second. So, here we are, we're on match point, round 12, and oh no, did we lose the observer?
Okay. Well, it wouldn't
Saw
be.
that ring of death floating and unfortunately lost the game. So, really hope we're going to be able to get it back quick because match point, we're so close there, my friend.
Yeah, we are right at the very end of it, and a valiant attempt at bringing it back in. Right, 5-6. We're there, my friend. The potential for overtime out of regulation, a real possibility. Now, here's the question: what is the adaptation? Is it going to work? You talked about needing to have a little bit more of some of that buddy system in play here. Kind of seeing that we're bringing some of that to the table here. Look at how far spread out this roam game is here. I mean, they're not having the buddy system. Excuse me. Look how far spread out this roam system is here, with both Warden and Pulse being so far separated from anybody that can help with an engagement.
Yep, and it almost feels like we're seeing Reikai Blue do what Master Chefs were doing, which was play this very spread out roam game, and they're not doing it to the same level of success here in this last two rounds, right? Being extra aggressive, going for the run out, just it seems like it wasn't the right call, right? It seems like this defense is not playing exactly the same kind of game that they were playing in rounds, 6, 7, and 8. So now is the time to try and hold on and lock yourself down rather than take a couple extra chances. I mean, this was round 12, their last opportunity to take it before going to OT. Feels like just not the time to take the chances, and right now they're paying for it. You still have got five of the attackers left. They're ready, and they're getting a lot of this vertical opened up to put pressure on this site. Yes, you still have got Warden upstairs playing connector, but I don't know that he's going to be enough to shut down this entire team on the flank.
Yeah, and I'm going to agree with you there. So some flashes starting to come in as we're going to start to see a push towards that execute. Look at this, shotgun in hand, ready to take some of that close quarter combat, and it is going to be the rotate back upstairs here as Castle finds himself at the top of cargo. Good to find
Okay.
one.
Attackers drop the diffuser.
As Logger gets taken down, that's going to equalize the man advantage, stop some of that vertical play, and then Ying quickly to follow as Gooby finds the double kill now, puts us into a 4v3. Puts pressure on from the backside. You're seeing some damage ring out, and that's going to be Ace to fall down. This is not what you want if you're a Master Chef's fan, but there it is, the equalizer.
Wow.
Ace going to find one, put us into a 2-2 in this incredibly impactful and incredibly important round. Pulse still down below, and this could be the play. The C4, the not droned out, the good night potentially. Oh my lord.
Wow.
Double kill now rings out. Going to have to rely on the C4 and stop the plant in mid-process to be able to... Oh, no, not the shots. What are you doing, my
5
guy?
seconds to go.
He had to get the C4 up high enough. He couldn't go through the floor
Oh, my
because
Lord.
they had it
Picks
placed
up.
on
No
top
time
of
left,
the.
and the
Operators, you have run out of time.
Okay. I stand corrected. I thought the shots were a giveaway. Get up on, find yourself. No, they did it. What a huge play by the Pulse. Huge game sense play by the Pulse.
Oh, like you said, there's a reason that he is there, the top frag, able to make that one work. Holy cow, my friend. Yeah, taking the shots from below to open up the floor so that way the C4 could go up. It was up on top of the table. Clearly, the attackers knew where they needed to play to avoid the C4 from down below. But man, that was a legendary play there from them to close out that round, a 7-5 victory. The rematch happened. Master Chefs got a little bit closer this time, not able to find a win though, and lose a second round to the Reikai Blue team.
Yeah, that was huge. Do you have any salt? Do you have any pepper? I got to eat my words there on that last one. What a huge play by the Pulse. I mean, I thought we were going to see some OT, and he comes out with the absolute stall out winner W play. It was a huge game. Loved this best of one, Whiskey. It was a blast.
Yeah, us and the teams having a crazy week of Siege here. All the games going on between AEL, between BGS. We saw a lot of these teams play in the qualifiers over the weekend and in the season earlier today. Some of the guys playing here in AEL and in BGS on the same day. And I know we've got next week coming up as well, another weekly series from Skyline. Why don't you tell us about that? Because there's a ton of stuff going on in Siege right now.
Man, we have got some really great community leagues here in Siege, and one of our favorites, outside of the AEL, which we love casting for, is the Skyline Gaming Community, and they are brought to you by Challenger Mode, Exclaim GG, CapCut, Dolly TMs, and Outlast are bringing you back their weekly series number 14, and this has been one of those pivotal community moments. It did adopt the 3-3 settings as well, the quarter system. It's just a super fun place to kind of get your name out there and win a little money in the process. We'll put the links for the Challenger for setup and the Discord to join as well. I just want to say a big thank you to Skyline Gaming Community for being such a huge member of our community, and to AEL for having us again for this best of one that was just an absolute banger. Thank you to the producer and our observer, Unnamed, and Kylo. This was just a blast and exactly what you want out of a best of one.
That's right. And the AEL season is going to continue. The road to the playoffs on their way. Like we said in the setup, only 2 more weeks left. The next stream here on AEL taking place again, as per usual, on Thursday. So we'll see the Thursday games come out to make our way towards the playoffs. And from the playoff perspective, you got 8 groups in AEL right now. The top making it from each of those groups. The second place team from each of those groups. A little bit of a wild card system. Some of those NFL games where, based on record, who is going to make the playoffs. The other half of the 16-team playoffs. So, a lot of spots up for grab. You are not eliminated just by being third in your group. Everybody fighting for their record. Every game matters. Every point matters here in AEL. So looking forward to seeing what these matches Thursday and then the next couple weeks bring.
That's right. But alas for us, the siege is over, my friends. It was an absolute blast. If you want some more of us, check us out on Twitter. I'm at Glitter Whiskey or Glitter underscore Whiskey. He is at Racing ENGR. We want to talk about Siege. Send us your hot takes, your cold takes, your clips, whatever it is. Just go ahead and add us. Look for more casting from the Siege Double Shot on our Twitch channel. That's the Siege Double Shot, where we do hundreds of different leagues, bringing you everything from T4 to T2. Tell me what you want to do. But we have reached the end of the evening, so as the lights start to dim and the jukebox starts to sing closing time, as always, my friends, you don't have to go home.
But you can't stay here.
Ayo.
Let's go.